I really do encourage your listeners to go to Bayou Buzz and look at the article and make their own decisions. Excuse me. The article name is bear with me. Analysis: Angelle leading bidder in Louisiana governor's race with a question mark.
Right.
Again, I'm not saying that. I am not saying
You're throwing
that.
it out there, right?
I'm throwing out because this is a poll. I'm also saying take a look at the discussion in a sense that Kyle Ruckert from the bidder campaign and the pollster are having about the poll, the reliability, the credibility of the poll. That is more important to me than anything that I might say, because I'm just basically encapsulating and saying, look, what other information do we have out there? Okay, if Kyle is going, and he's correct, to go in and pick this poll apart, which I would hope that he would do and others would do, then shouldn't we have the right to do that with the other polls that are out there and we don't have that information? Okay, that's the main point that I'm making here.
Yeah.
So does Angelle have a chance of beating
Vitter?
Being ahead of Vitter? Yeah, I would not bet my money on it right now.
But what is driving his increase in support? Obviously, he's got some momentum. And what is the cause of that? Has he been doing a lot of media statewide? Is his message connecting? What do you think's working for Angelle?
Well, that's something that we don't know for a fact. The way that the pollster had framed it was that Vitter was dropping on his own.
Okay.
That it wasn't really the advertising, although the advertising did have some basis to it. And basically, and I have some numbers here that Ruckert had actually sent to me, and I think he made a really good point. I really do, and that is that if you look at the advertising that Angelle did in May, it was substantially more than the advertising they did in July. So why is it that in July that Angelle has jumped up 10 points?
Versus the previous month. Okay.
Versus the previous months. And I think it's a legitimate point. Now, here's the answer from the pollster standpoint, that again, Vitter is declining on his own, that people are moving away from Vitter. Is that true? Well, those are the numbers that the other polls indicate, but not to such an extreme. 3 points over 2 months versus 10 points over 1 month.
I've been unimpressed with the campaign, unimpressed with the candidates, unimpressed with what I've seen so far. The only one really seemingly making moves is David Vitter. So I don't know what Lieutenant Governor Jade Arden is doing. I think Angelle is doing some advertising, maybe in other areas of the state more than here. And then, just have John Bell Edwards, I guess, trying to consolidate his vote. But I mean, I haven't seen much. It's been sort of boring, but maybe it'll pick up. We talked last week about the one thing that I thought was sort of exciting, and that is maybe John Georges would enter the race. And then, of course, after our discussion, we brought it up. All these other media outlets picked it up. And that seems to be the hot story now, that he may jump in. And I wouldn't be surprised if he does, Steve.
Right. Well, let me throw something out to you about that. And I was going to actually make this point, and that is that John Georges is one of the individuals who helped pay for this poll. Okay. So he's one of, as I appreciated, 15 or 20 individuals who are part of a group, and that's, you've seen those groups around the state.
Right.
They parlay together. They put up their money. They want to see what's happening. In George's group, you already have some dissension. Okay, from the standpoint that in May, I think it was, some people from Angelle took numbers that were favorable to Angelle and presented the information publicly.
Okay.
The pollster had to go in there and say, no, this is not correct. Then in June, the same thing happened, but it happened with Edwards. And again, the pollster, Vern Kennedy, had to do the same thing. That's a story that we wrote about, that we talked about last. So, here's like you have Mike Baham, who writes in the Hayride, and Mike is a good friend of mine, friend of yours, but says, hey, look, this, that George is pulling the strings. I mean, he's coming up with this poll,
right?
Okay, that indicates that Angelle is ahead. Well, excuse me, but you think the other people involved in funding this poll is going to allow, this poll to be dominated? They have meetings. They discuss the poll. They have the poll in front of them. They had a meeting last week. Everybody had the poll.
All right. We talked about crime. Common Core, you would think, would be one of the big issues in the governor's race. Have you sensed that or not?
Well, the only thing that's been out there that I know of is the poll from Bernie Pincinat in the spring, where obviously Common Core was a very, very important number. I think over the vast majority of people were against it, opposed to it. So I feel confident that will be an issue. I don't think it. I feel confident that the Vitter campaign is going to use that issue against Jay Darden. And I feel confident that he's going to use the Bobby Jindal issue against Scott Angelle. So these polls, I think, are very fluid. They don't. We haven't seen any real advertising yet. Vitter's got $9-10 million. So
it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, but here's a problem.
All right.
Vitter's numbers, according to this poll, Vitter's numbers are, and also according to other polls, Vitter is at like 31 at max. Okay, 31.
And with that, Steve, we're going to have to conclude because we're out of time, but that's an interesting point. He's not growing, and it could be trouble for his campaign. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it very much. I'll have a column for you later. Check out BayouBuzz.com.